Welcome to another episode of the Meet and Greet BBQ podcast. So today we have Kate and Neil from Hitchens Kitchen here to talk all about cooking for a family, which is the reason why we absolutely love their accounts. So if you haven't, make sure that you follow them and like all their bits and pieces on Instagram, because you'll see some great ideas for cooking for the family. Without much further ado, here's Neil and Kate.
Welcome, Kate and Neil, to the Meet and Greet BBQ podcast. How are you doing?
We're good, thank you. Thank you for
very
having
well.
us.
Very good.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. We've both been following your social media account for, I'd say, the best part of a year, and we always get really inspired by what you cook. So we're really excited to find out a little bit more about your journey into barbecue. So for anyone that doesn't know who you are, would you like to tell our listeners who you guys are?
Well, we're Hitchens Kitchen and Grill. So it's a sort of Instagram account. Kate started the account a few years ago, mainly when we had really young kids. Also what we were feeding our kids, and it's kind of progressed as they've got older and what we changed, like what we're cooking, haven't we?
Yeah.
And in the sort of about 3 years ago, we got really into sort of outdoor cooking, barbecue cooking, cooking with fire. And so that's basically what our page is about. And we just sort of document what we've cooked, and mainly so we can go back sort of in a few months' time when we've got no inspiration and no ideas on what to cook, and just have a look back what we've done and sort of.
Yeah, it's like our own recipe book, isn't it? Yeah. We like to look through, oh, that was nice, oh, no, that wasn't nice, I don't want that one again.
So, yeah, and it's sort of grown a little bit sort of over time. So, yeah, it's good. Enjoy it.
And how have you found that transition then from, I think what strikes us quite well, we're both family men, and I think, again, what's great about your account is that it is, even though it's barbecue, it's very family orientated. As well, everything that you do, it's about creating good quality family meals, and that's, I think, what really attracts us to your account.
Yeah. How
have you found that in transition? Like you said, you started it when the children were quite young, and you've naturally kind of progressed it into outdoor cooking. Has it been quite is that where you hoping it was going to head, or is it just
they haven't really had a choice, have they? They have to eat what we eat.
Yeah, to be quite honest, it's always been that way. We didn't start off the account with a focus on like baby food. As parents yourself, you'll know that the weaning process is getting kids onto food. We did baby-led weaning, which is giving kids exactly what you eat. So although it used to have more of a baby focus, it was more, here's the food we're eating and this is how I'll cut it so that a baby or child can eat it. So we never really did baby food per se. It was just the food that we're eating. And I think to start with, people found it quite interesting because when we started like 5-6 years ago, baby-led weaning wasn't as mainstream as it is now. And actually people were quite sort of intimidated by giving babies normal food, by giving them a roast dinner, by giving them salmon and potatoes and broccoli, whereas we wouldn't sort of mash it up. We would just give it to them as salmon, potatoes, broccoli. And I think people found it quite interesting to see how we gave it to them. So the page hasn't really progressed in terms of the food we give. It's just the way that we used to serve it, I think, used to be interesting to people. And now we don't really do anything with how we serve it because they're 3 and 6, so they just eat normal food and cut their own food up.
But in the last sort of 3-4 years, that's when we've started getting interested into cooking, isn't it? And but they've actually thrown interest in it as well. So we try and get them involved. We try and let them light it, let them sprinkle the rub on, and so the more they're involved, the more they are keen to sort of try it. And
we're lucky as well. They're not fussy, and I'm not so naive as to think the fussy period won't come, but so far so good. They love getting stuck in, like ribs, mussels, crab, like steak. They like stinky cheese. They like all kinds of food that I didn't like food like that when I was that little, but I think just because they're always exposed to it, it's for them it's not unusual. So they're proper foodies, aren't they? They love it.
Yeah.
It's expensive when you go out though. They're like, chicken nuggets, no thanks, give me a sirloin.
I'm very jealous because my daughter, she used to eat everything when she was young, absolutely everything. Then as soon as she started going to nursery and she was getting fed more and more at nursery, she's gone off a lot of things, and I'm having to slowly integrate her back into barbecue food with hot dogs and things, and moving on to proper sausages and so on and so forth. But to have children that will go straight into mussels and crabs, just incredible. Do you think it's because you let them get involved that really helps that?
I think so, and I think we quite like trying new food as well. So if we're ever faced with anything new, For example, like prawns and things like that, we're not like, oh, they're all sticky. We're like, yeah, that's so fun. Oh, look, you can pull the head off and suck the brains out. And so they quite enjoy kind of getting stuck in with it.
They've taken that sort of mentality to it as well.
Yeah. So they don't, I don't know, they've always liked trying.
Try and make it fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they don't always like everything that they eat. Like tonight we had monk fish kebabs, and one of the children really liked it. Charlie really, really enjoyed it. But Oliver took one mouthful and said, nope, I don't like it. And it had the same rub on that we've used on umpteen other dishes, but tonight he just didn't like it.
But he loved the potatoes, and so we sort of played a little game that you can't have any more potatoes until you eat some monkfish. So eventually he ate it and he liked it in the end, didn't he? Because he could get potato from it. So yeah, it's kind of been, I don't know, we're trying to make it fun, but also if they say no, they don't want to try it, when it's actually not going to offend them in any way, we just kind of be firm and make them, what's that or nothing. So, and eventually they eat it.
If something was really easy, then I wouldn't force them to eat it. But if something is just like, it's not their favourite part of their meal, then we're like, oh well, just leave it then, but you're not having anything else.
They tend to go back.
And quite often, I think also, I don't know if you find this, but often when they say they don't like something, actually they're just not very hungry. So quite often I'll just say, oh, okay, then don't eat it. And then I leave it on the side, and then half an hour later they walk past and they just start picking at it because actually they're a bit hungrier.
And they know they're not going to get anything else.
Yeah, that'll be hungry.
Yeah, I pudding's a big motivator. Well, you've got to eat all of this if you want some pudding.
It's true.
Yeah, if you're hungry enough for that, you're hungry enough for this.
Absolutely.
It's very frustrating though about the nursery, isn't it? We found similar things, like they'll all the time you spend trying to get good habits and good everything else, and then they never pick up other people's good habits. They always find their sort of bad habits, or the nursery teacher will be like, oh, don't have that then, or have this, or if you don't want that, have something else, and it undoes all your good work.
Yeah.
It must be very frustrating.
So you mentioned that you like to get the kids involved in the barbecue side of things, like you said, you let them light it, and do you feel that they're kind of wanting to kind of grow into that and actually get more involved in actually in the cooking process and use it? We'll go into what your setup is in a minute. I'd love to hear what your actual barbecue setup is, but do they like to get involved on all your grills?
Yeah, they do. They do. They love being outside and they love cooking. But also for me personally, it's also been just like a necessity. So I'm a working parent. I work till about 5 o'clock. So when I come home, I've got no choice but to stand in the kitchen and make the dinner. So if I don't have them up there cooking it with me, then they're in another room, they're trashing another room, or they're just watching TV. And then I don't get to spend much time with them. So it kind of, they get involved with the cooking, even when I'm cooking indoors, just so that I can spend a bit of time with them. And they just like it, don't they?
Don't always want to get involved, do they? But
no.
Quite often they'll say, oh, can I cut this, or can I stop that? And so
it's really good, but then everything they use, like it just makes so much more mess. Like if they're peeling potatoes or something, it's like bits of potato flying everywhere, and you find it all stuck to the cupboards and things. So it's lots of fun, but it's lots more messy.
They do show an interest in all of them, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Ollie likes turning on the Traeger and dialing in the right number and figuring out, if we say get it to 250, he'll like watch the numbers go up until it goes to 250. And they like lighting the fire starters in the Kamado Joe. And
Charlie just loves fire and anything dangerous.
Yeah.
Charlie loves it.
And also in our Hadaya, like the fireball, they love stacking the logs and lighting that, and sort of so they do like getting involved in all of them. So yeah, they show some sort of interest in them.
Yeah.
Great. So you've already kind of mentioned a little bit about what grills you've got, but talk us through your setup. Tell us everything that you've got.
Well, we started out, didn't we?
Yeah.
We actually started in barbecue mainly through my vanity of wanting something to look nice on the decking. so I sort of re-landscaped our garden. I built a nice decking. We put the furniture on it, and there was a gap in the middle. I was like, we need to fill that gap with the barbecue. We went back to the furniture shop, didn't we? And we saw these ceramic barbecues. I was like, I want one of them because it just looks so nice. So we got one of those. Didn't really know what to do with it, did we?
No.
So that was just like sort of a lower level ceramic barbecue, Komodo. And after sort of doing a standard grilling on it, I looked into it a bit more, didn't I? And found some Instagram sort of pages and realised its whole potential. So after we had that just on its own, didn't we, for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
After that, I sort of saved up and got a Kamado Joe.
We wanted a bigger one, didn't we?
Yeah,
We
it wasn't big
by
enough.
that time we realised that actually we really enjoyed cooking for friends and having as well the boys who I don't think, did we have Charlie when we got the Kamado Joe?
Not first, no.
No,
No, not the first
I
one,
think not when we got the first one, but because we kind of wanted to cook everything on it. Like we started off just doing what everybody probably starts off with, like burgers and sausages, but then we wanted to do our veggies, our potatoes, everything.
Yeah,
So
but also we thought we'd only use it once every few weeks, but actually we were using it 2 or 3 times a week, weren't we? And yeah,
so we kind of thought actually we want to get a bigger one.
bigger,
Which is, and then you thought, well, if we're going to spend the money getting a bigger one, we might as well get the top of the range one so that we can sort of do everything with it, pizzas, low and slow, everything.
Yeah, so that was our sort of first big purchase barbecue wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you weren't very confident at first, were you?
No, I used, because you told me once that you can crack the ceramics.
Well,
I was always scared I was going to blow it up.
Early, this is a good barbecue fail for you. Early on, I
Blew it up.
opened all the vents for pizza, opened the bottom vent, opened the top vent, walked away, like loaded it with charcoal. Thought, oh, that'll take a while to come up to temperature. Got back and it was like 900 degrees Fahrenheit. I was like,
Wow.
panicked. Closed all the vents because I thought, oh, I'll close the vents, I'll stop the airflow, I'll cool it down a bit. But obviously you shouldn't have closed all the vents because their heat had nowhere to go. And I came back like a few hours later and the top bit had like completely come apart from the ceramic. So that was a learning curve.
Yeah.
Not to panic.
Wow.
So, so since then, Kate was really nervy about breaking my Kamado Joe.
I was like, I'm going to blow it up.
Yeah. So you didn't want to go on it at first, did you? So you because of that, you saw people using the Traeger and stuff, didn't you? You thought, oh, I can get involved with the Traeger.
I can't blow that one up as well.
No. Oh, you managed.
Yeah, I did.
So you wanted the Traeger, didn't you? You wanted a pit grill. So that's when we looked into getting the Traeger.
Yeah.
And
also you like different things. Like Neil really enjoys tinkering with the Kamado Joe and getting the temperature just right, and he'll really enjoy sort of the process and spending, I don't know, I was going to say an hour, it doesn't take an hour, but he'll like spending time tinkering with the vents, getting it just perfect. Whereas I think, oh, I haven't always got time for that. Sometimes it is nice to just flick it on and go.
No, sometimes when you've got both kids and you just need it sort of press button and leave it for a bit, don't you? So that's why originally you like the Traeger, sort of the pellet grill.
Simple.
Yeah, and then what was it? The other one's our Fireball. So that's just another one where
that's more of a social thing. So we don't really do a lot of cooking on that. It's just like marshmallows and sausages and stuff, and it just keeps you warm, especially in the lockdowns last year, when you couldn't have friends around inside your house, but we wanted to see people. So it was nice to be able to sort of sit outside.
Yeah.
And in winter as well, to sort of stay outside for a bit longer. Like we don't use that often. It's more like bonfire night, New Year's Eve.
We should use it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that got like a chain with the grill on that? Yeah.
We did a whole leg of lamb once.
We're actually pretty bad.
It wasn't. we lit the Fireball and we had the leg of lamb. It just got one big hook.
Oh, yeah.
But the lamb we couldn't put it through. So Neil was like, I'll go and get a coat hanger. So we had this like metal coat hanger.
We improvise and overcome.
It was really nice, but it just looked funny hanging on a coat hanger.
Yeah. So you know, we've been talking about pellet grills quite a lot recently, and I think we're probably surprised at how many people have pellet grills, or how many people are interested in getting pellet grills. I think obviously, again, most typical British barbecuers will have a cheap Argos or a B&Q barbecue, and they might have a little gas one to go with it. But there's a big market, isn't there, around pellet grills, and convenience seems to be the biggest draw for that.
Exactly. Yeah, so everyone's busy, everyone's working, everyone's sort of, you haven't got hours to sort of light the barbecue and be by it all the time, have you? You've got other things going on like cooking, cleaning, tidying. They certainly serve a purpose. They have their sort of place, don't they? So I think that's probably what attracts it to people, still getting that sort of wood-fired flavour, but without having to sort of learn the process too much. It kind of does it for you. And not having to sort of babysit it either. So yeah, they are growing. I mean, you've got a lot of your friends, female friends, haven't you? Just sort of watched you and sort of they want a part of it. They've come around and tried it and they've enjoyed the food, and they sort of want to do their own, recreate it at home, don't they? So they've sort of bought their own sort of Traeger or version of. Yeah. But yeah, so it's certainly a growing market. So I think every sort of barbecue brand was
growing last year.
growing
Yeah.
big time last year, so it was
Definitely.
really busy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated that you went straight in for a ceramic grill because of what they look like. I mean, I've just got one myself literally today and kind of set it up and everything. So I've got a monolith.
Yeah.
I did a lot of kind of research and I wanted something that I wanted a ceramic grill that was decent quality, but also if it cost an arm and a leg, I wasn't afraid to get involved and get used to it. Just as you've said, Kate, because you do hear stories of people who get it wrong and then bad things can happen. So you filled me with confidence with what you've said.
Just
But
don't shut all the
Yeah, straight away when it's 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
that, and I've heard that the best thing to do is start off with like almost minimal charcoal and slowly build it up to get the temperature you want, rather than rush in. But what are your top tips to someone who's a new Kamado owner?
There's so many. Don't go and cook a brisket straight away. get your temperature control right first, or practice on some cheaper cuts of meat like a pork shoulder or like pork ribs, and just practice getting that temperature set and stable.
Don't cook for friends the very first few times you use it, because we have had a few sort of disasters, and it always seems to be when we have the same couple of friends over, so we swear they must think their food is disgusting, so, and it always seems to be
always
the first
experiment on them.
yeah
Poor friends.
so they must think, oh, I don't know what this is about. It's horrible.
But another thing is, the great thing about the ceramic grill is when you've finished cooking, just shut your vents, and any charcoal that's left, you can just use it next time, so there's no waste. That's a really good one. Never let it get too hot. It's so easy to increase the temperature, but once it's got hot, it's hard to get it back down. So like you say, slowly build it up. Because we've had a few where it's overshot the temperature and we've ended up doing a hot and fast brisket rather than a slow.
Yeah,
but they're fine, they're still nice.
like the last one when you nearly set the garage on fire.
Right.
No, we welcome these stories. We want these
full
stories.
of it.
Well, I've never set the garage on fire. I set the Traeger on fire, but never the garage.
Oh, tell us how you managed to set a Traeger on fire.
Don't you want to know how we set the garage on fire?
I want to know both.
The Traeger was just completely my fault. Neil said to me...
No, that's Kate. I'll get me a Traeger. I'll clear it out. I'll maintain it. I'll look after it.
Basically, I was too lazy to clean it out. Neil said to me, you need to make sure that the grease trap, you need to make sure everything's clean, because I was doing something, I can't remember what I was cooking now, but I wanted to do something really high temperature, hot and fast.
After you've done a long,
After I'd done a long,
pork shoulder.
yeah, something quite fatty. And he said to me, you need to clean it out. I said, oh, I'll just do one more cook. And then I'd switched it on and I was in the kitchen doing something, which you're not supposed to leave them whilst they're lighting. And he said, your Traeger's really smoking. I was like, it's a pellet grill, it's a smoker, it's meant to smoke, don't worry about it. He was like, no, Kate. He was looking out the window, like, no, Kate, it's really, really smoking. I was like, don't worry about it.
Open it up.
Stop panicking. He was like, there's flames coming out the back.
We got there in time. It was all good.
Yeah. It wasn't actually the grill that was on fire.
It was the grease.
It was the
Yeah.
grease in the grill.
That was all
It was
Kate's
all
fault.
fine, but it was all my fault. But we cleaned it all, it was fine, and it hasn't happened since.
The royal we cleaned it all.
But it was...
It was me.
Yeah, it was.
You panicked and ran off and left me to deal with it.
That's true.
But yeah, so that's only happened once. We learned from that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
And what about the garage?
The garage was, I was doing an overnight brisket cook.
Before you get into the story, the time before when Neil had done a brisket, he set an app on his phone to go off whenever the temperature dropped. And I didn't get any sleep because he kept getting up to check on it and he kept getting up to tinker with it. So I said to him, if you're going to do an overnight cook, don't wake me up or I will kill you. Whatever you do not wake me up or I will go absolutely mad. Because last time I didn't get any sleep.
I got loads last time.
I know.
So I set it up. It was all going fine, and I normally empty my, you've got the little drawer at the bottom of the Kamado Joes. You empty the ash. I chuck it in like a metal bucket. Didn't think of it. I've got this old bag of charcoal that I've been chucking ash in when it's really cold and definitely not lit. But I wasn't thinking it was like 1 or 2 in the morning or something. I just went out and chucked the ash drawer into the old bag of charcoal with all the dust in it. Didn't think anything of it. went back to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, luckily, because my sort of phone went off to tell me that it was getting too hot or something, I went out and I opened the garage door and it was full of smoke. I was like,
Oh my God.
So yeah, I picked it up. I pretty burnt my hands. I picked up the bag, chucked it out onto the sort of patio.
Which was on fire.
Yeah,
Bag was on fire.
the bag, luckily, it hadn't touched anything else. It was away from other things, so I got there just in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, went out, and then I was sort of, what should I do? I know, I'll put it out with the hose. Went to the hose. It was blooming like February or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The hose was frozen, so I couldn't put it out with the hose. The hose pipe was fully frozen. So what did I get? I got a little mini watering can, didn't I?
Yeah, for my house plant.
It's like the smallest
Why
watering
did
can you
get
could
a
ever
bucket? I
find.
don't know.
I don't know. I sort of wasn't thinking. I was trying to put this out, but yeah. So anyway, I didn't set the garage on fire.
You
I
did.
set a bag of charcoal on fire that was in the garage next to it.
But I woke up in the morning and was like, what is that smell?
Oh, yeah,
and
you
he
didn't
said, oh, I set the garage on fire. And then there was all this like, obviously burnt stuff in the garage. I said, why didn't you wake me up? He was like, you told me you'd kill me. I was like, yeah, but not if you're about to have a fire. You should have called me to help you. He's like, but I didn't want to wake you up because you're going to come at me. He'd just been out there battling this fire by himself.
With a mini watering can.
Honestly, the watering can is like this big. It's for watering house plants. Yeah.
So you pretty much
See, what I take away from that, is that you care. You said you wanted your sleep, and you got your sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the only time I've ever
I
listened
nearly
to her in
lost
my
my
life.
garage in the process, but yeah, I did get some sleep.
On the 20th to the 22nd of August, the UK's largest barbecue festival will be hitting Colchester for 3 days of all things grilling, music and family fun. And if that wasn't enough, the British Barbecue Open Championships will be held there, where teams will compete in numerous rounds of barbecue classics for the panel of judges to crown the best British barbecue team.
To find out more and get your tickets, visit smokeandfirefestival.com/tickets. We can't wait to see you there.
I want to hear some of your disasters now to make me feel a bit more normal.
Oh,
Well, Dan's been I was going to
Yeah.
say, Dan, you've been saying loads.
Yeah, I feel I have lots and lots of disasters because I'm the world's clumsiest person. So when you add clumsy and fire together, it's a recipe for absolute disaster.
Yeah.
What have I done which I've not talked about before? I know. So this was a long time ago. Yeah. This was in our first house that my wife and I had, and we had a relatively new barbecue that we'd bought from, I think it was B&Q. It was Kettle barbecue, and we set up and everything. We started cooking on it, and there was some sort of remnants of like one of the firelighters on the side, and it didn't look like it was a light. I'd already like considered started cooking on it, so I was like, I'll just take that off, I'll put that to one side, it'll be fine. Started cooking, I was like, something smells like burning, but the food seems absolutely fine. Turned around and I put it on the box because I'm lazy and I hadn't got rid of the box for the barbecue. And bang, everything had gone straight up, and it was literally okay, it's on a metal tray, obviously the metal tray is hot, but I'm gonna have to move that to the end of the garden and just watch it from a distance because it can't spread until it until it calms down. So what I've learned there is pay attention to where you're putting hot things, particularly if they could be on fire. But luckily that didn't affect the food at all. I got away with it because Steph was inside sorting something upstairs, so the fire had gone out by the time she came downstairs. I got, there's a lot of smoke. I said, what's a barbecue? It's going to be smoky. That's the closest to a full-on fire that I've come, to be fair. What about you, Owen? Do you have any others?
So I got one from a while ago. It kind of wasn't my fault, so I'm just going to say
famous words.
It wasn't your fault.
Wasn't okay. It wasn't a fire, but I did cremate some food quite badly. My sister had moved into a new place and she hadn't got anything set up, so she bought a little disposable barbecue. She didn't even have any tongs, but she had a couple of forks, so I used them, and I was cooking some sausages in the dark. There was no outside light, so I was trying to hold a torch whilst trying to use two forks to cook all these things on a barbecue, and I just cremated everything. It was a proper kind of
I'm
black
surprised
on the
you got that much
outside.
heat from a disposable barbecue. We've never had much luck with them.
My cremation is always asparagus.
Oh, you're just rubbish at asparagus, aren't you?
It just, yeah, it either falls through the grate or I'm just cremating it. But the last time I did it, it actually worked out quite
was
well, but
actually
that was
nice
the
this
first.
week.
Yeah, that was the first.
The first dirty cook I ever did was because I accidentally somehow managed to drop a really thin steak through.
We'll go also
my hand.
Sorry. Yeah.
I was like, quickly gloves, right, take the grill off, here we go, we're just doing it.
Go direct, yeah.
Straight on there, it's absolutely fine. It tasted great, so, you know, you learn from your mistakes, literally in that situation.
When you first said to me, I wanted to try this style of cooking, and he explained it to me, I was like, what? On the charcoal? He was like, yeah, it's called cooking it dirty. So because you'd said about cooking it, I was expecting it to have like bits of charcoal and stuff, but I was really pleasantly
So good,
surprised
isn't it?
it wasn't like that.
So nice for a steak.
It's like we love
Yeah.
cooking that way now with like big steaks and
the big
things.
fat steak. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
It's that crispiness that you just don't get.
Crust.
yeah,
On the actual on the grill. It's amazing.
yeah.
You can't recreate that, can you?
No.
It's just, yeah, it's so good.
Plus, it feels like proper caveman as well, which is half the fun, right?
Yeah.
It does. You can just imagine
Yeah.
doing it, can't you? Get the old half a cow and chuck it on.
So, actually, I'm interested to know, what would you say is your ultimate barbecue meal? I mean, on your page, there's a lot of kind of diversity about what you cook. So, what would you say is your ultimate barbecue meal?
So I really like seafood and vegetables.
Yeah, but as a meal, you need a bit of everything, don't you? You need sort of
Yeah.
like I would say tomahawk or like a big fat ribeye, so you can slice and you can share it.
Yeah,
A little bit of everything, I'd say.
yeah.
Like steak, some pork ribs.
I actually prefer lighter food.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think actually something which a lot of barbecues do is everything is quite like heavy. It's all like big burgers, big bits of steak, big. And I think sometimes I just like tonight.
It's good.
It was nice actually. We had monkfish kebabs that were just monkfish and sliced pepper, and then I made some couscous and stuff. But I just asked Neil to, while he was out there doing the kebabs, just char grill some vegetables and stuff, and then I had some like feta cheese and stuff. Like, you don't consider that a proper meal, do you?
Well, it's nice, but I'll probably go and eat something else later.
Yeah.
A big tomahawk.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimate.
My favourite thing, I think, probably to cook is like a bag of feta, like a big beef ribs. Have that with some sort of mashed potato, red wine, sort of jus. That's
Sorry. You just said a red wine Jew. Sorry, that really tickled me.
We haven't even been drinking.
I have.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we haven't come up with a meal, have we?
No.
To be fair, I think both of those are meals.
They are, yeah.
Steak and potato, fish and veg.
Yeah.
I think that's
It's a bit
good.
of a boring answer, but
Yeah.
it's what we like.
Looking at the fact that you cook for the family all the time, what do you think is the strangest thing you've cooked? And what I mean by that is something that no one would ever think would go on a barbecue, because it looks like you cook everything on there.
Which most people haven't expected, but I really liked is when I did that salmon on croute.
Mm-hmm.
That was really
good.
nice.
So
That's
I
really good.
haven't seen anyone else cook it on the barbecue, but if they have, then they
That
beat
was
me to
really
it.
nice.
But yeah, most people don't expect that sort of thing on the barbecue. I've seen a few people do beef Wellington, which is a similar sort of version of it, isn't it? But yeah, the salmon on croute, that was sort of an unusual one, but really good.
And when I made banana bread, obviously because in lockdown you had to make banana bread, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the law. That was
Exactly. Were you even in lockdown if you didn't do banana bread? So yeah, I did some banana breads. I did some cookies.
Bit of bacon, yeah, you like bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was sort of unusual.
Also the crab that we did.
Oh yeah, the big massive crab.
Massive crab.
Yeah,
That
crab
was
good.
really nice.
What, a whole crab?
It was the size
when
of
you say whole crab, it
platter.
was like
bigger than a dinner plate, wasn't it? It was
yeah.
It
So
only just sat on my back.
our meat and seafood delivery guy, we get it all from Ford and Sons. He is scared of them, and he said it was literally he could hear it crawling around the back of the van because obviously it has to come live.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm so glad to get that off the van. And he said, oh, I've got you a really big one. So I was expecting, like, I'd eaten and bought crabs before, but had you ever cooked a crab?
Oh,
I don't
no,
think
not
we'd
cooked,
know.
nothing.
I'd cook them at home when I used to live at home when I was younger, but you'd never had. So I was kind of anticipating a crab shell like this big, or when he said big one, this big. But honestly, its shell was like this, bigger than a dinner plate, just the shell, and the claws were as big as my hand. Like, that's how big they were. And he was so frightened of it in the van. He wouldn't touch it. So yeah, that was quite an unusual thing. We cooked that inside, just in boiling water, and then we put that on the barbecue to sort of smoke it, and that was really, really tasty. I think that's something people don't really expect to grill.
Yeah. I want to love crab so much, but I just can't get on with the flavour. They look cool as well.
Is it the thought of it though, or is it the taste of it?
It's mainly the taste, unfortunately.
Oh, you don't like the taste?
No, but I want to. Yeah. And I think they look so lovely when they're dressed in the shell. And
yeah.
You like other seafood, or is it just not your thing?
I'm a kind of tuna. So a lot of my family are, either fishermen or, I grew up in a little fishing town. But it's almost like I've had so much fish in my youth that I'm completely anti-fish now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ford and Sons, I use Ford and Sons as well. They're such good delivery service. It's great quality meat, and I really like the fact that they've now branched out into Billingsgate and to Spitalfields as well, so you can get your fruit and veg.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, they're really, really good. We've used them since sort of the first lockdown, haven't we?
Yeah.
When he started it, when people couldn't get anything from the supermarket.
Yeah, so
could you have a word and get him to stretch out to Suffolk a little bit more? That would be great.
He is actually looking to kind of go a bit further afield, isn't he? I think he's trying to take over the world. So I would say watch this space.
That would be great, because I feel like I'm literally just over the Suffolk Essex
you're not
border.
too far away, are you?
No, I just call.
Yeah,
that's the other thing I could do. If I'm seeing Owen multiple times a week because of work, I'll make Ford and Sons plus Owen as my delivery service. And I'll just get it from them that way.
Yeah.
I charge a brisket handling fee.
Something that we haven't asked anyone. Do you have a cook you haven't tried yet that you're looking forward to giving a go?
Yes.
What?
It's not very barbecue, but obviously I want to do it on the barbecue. I really want to do a whole roasted cauliflower.
Nice. I've been looking at doing that because some of my close friends from university have become vegans, particularly in the last year or so. Owen's shaking his head. I know. I if they weren't so nice people, I'd be more aggrieved, but they're lovely.
Always one.
There is, isn't there? So when they've recently had a little one as well. I say recently, literally turning 1 tomorrow. So happy birthday, Isaac. But when they come over, I want to do them something that is going to blow their mind.
Have you looked at Genevieve's book?
Look, Chard.
Actually, I have not looked at that book.
That's all vegetarian, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like all vegetarian, but all barbecue.
Really good stuff in there.
There's some great recipes in there.
There you go. I'm writing down now. But I really love the idea of, because I love cauliflower anyway, and the smokiness and the fact that it just carries flavour so well. But part of me is like, well, I'd like to do like a hot sauce version of it, but I'd also kind of like to do a whole cauliflower cheese as like an experiment. I just think it would be different.
Yeah.
I did a cauliflower cheese and broccoli cheese, didn't I, on the barbecue? That was really nice, with a bit of a crumb on top. Yeah, it takes on the smoke nicely, and
How do you plan to cook the whole head?
What, me?
No, Kate.
Yeah, how would you cook the whole head?
Well, this is why I haven't done it yet, because I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't looked that far into it. This is what Neil always says. I say, I want to cook this and I want to cook that. And he goes, what temperature do you need the grill? How do you want to do it? How do you want me to set the plates up? I'm like, that's your job. You sort that out. I'm the brains behind the ingredients. You sort everything else out and work out how to do it. Yeah. But I don't know. Would you smoke it? Would you do it fast?
Quite low and slow.
The only thing it might go
smoke
mushy, and you don't want it to, because cauliflower does have a tendency to go a bit soggy if you overcook it, and I wouldn't want it to go soggy.
Would you always want the edges a bit charred? You know, like
Yeah.
I might finish it off a bit higher just to get a bit of colour and light charred, but not.
I was thinking of doing like a tikka masala one, and maybe marinating it in like yogurt and tikka masala paste and stuff.
Yeah, we should try that.
That sounds
Sounds
good.
But
good.
that's as far as I'd got.
Early stages of wanting it.
It's in the early stages of the recipe planning.
I think that's something we need to do is up our sides and veg game.
Well, we got a delivery box this week from a company called Cookaway, and it had part of a picana with it, but the sides were actually our favourite.
Sides were the best.
And actually both of the sides, they weren't vegan because they had feta cheese in. But apart from the feta, I think the sides were vegan. It was like char grilled, courgette and asparagus, so all the stuff that we're always usually rubbish at cooking, but it was really nice.
But I think we always focus so much on the meat and the main part of the meal that we kind of we've been cooking that for sort of 12 hours, and then
sweet corn.
And then we're like, what should we do with it? And we'd never think about it until the last minute. So I think we actually need to think about and up our game with you doing better sides, and then that kind of brings the whole meal together.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the meat's the fun part, though.
Exactly.
Unless you're a vegan.
Well, yeah.
This is my problem. For me, I love anything that has had a pulse at some point. So whereas I'm not a huge fan of fruit, and there's certain veg that I absolutely despise, like cucumber shouldn't exist.
I'd eat whole cucumbers for snacks.
Like apples.
I'd look into that. That is not a good sign. But because of that, I always focus so much on the meat with the barbecue. And don't get me wrong, I love a mac and cheese.
You know you love cauliflower.
Yeah, I do love cauliflower. But love a mac and cheese, do mac and cheese quite a lot, and like potatoes and things like that. But for some reason, I always forget about the sides on a barbecue, or I go for like a pasta salad. Do you know what I mean?
It's always the last minute. What should we do? It's nearly ready. Quick, what should we do? And then we just search the fridge and see what we've got.
Yeah.
But it's never much. We need to pre-think it, don't we? Actually plan.
Just out of interest, this is for anyone. Can you do chips on the barbecue? I've really struggled to get decent chips cooked on the barbecue.
I don't think we've ever tried actual chips.
We haven't, but we have deep fried on the barbecue. We deep fried chicken wings. Alton's did a Valentine's Day cooking competition, and it was 3 girls, 3 boys, and we each had to do a thing. So I did chicken wings, and I did deep fry the chicken wings on the Kamado Joe. So I would imagine
you could do chips that way.
Yeah, we have done not chips, but what are those?
I don't know.
Potato triangle things, hash browns. So we have cooked frozen hash browns on the barbecue before. Like when we've done a breakfast, we've just done them on the cast iron. So I would imagine actually they did go really, really crispy. So as long as you kept turning the fries, I would probably do chunky ones. You probably could cook them on the cast iron because the hash browns turned out really tasty and really crunchy.
We tend to just do potatoes and like wedges or half them, and then put them in the cast iron and sort of our go-to, isn't it? Sort of if we just don't want to think about anything new.
I think if you were going to cook chips, there's probably easier ways than trying to deep fry on the barbecue, because I didn't want any help from Neil on that cook, because our normal roles that we just kind of fall into is Neil does tend to do most of the cooking over the barbecue, and I tend to prepare most of it, purely because I tend to just naturally, the boys kind of come to me more to sort of play with them and stuff when he's cooking. But with the Valentine's night, I didn't want anyone to be able to say, oh, well, Neil just did it all for you. So I literally didn't want any help from it, because it was like an all-girls team versus the boys team. I was like, no, I don't want your help. And I think your heart was in your mouth when I was deep frying on the Kamado Joe, wasn't it?
I was just waiting with my little water.
That wouldn't have worked, would it? Like water on a deep fat fryer.
No, true.
That would have just caused an explosion.
Speaking of chips, I don't know if you've got a rotisserie. Have you got a rotisserie in any of your barbecues? I've seen people, in the baskets, sort of do chips in that. I don't know how well they've turned out, but I've seen a few people do that. So sort of cover them in oil, then put them in the basket and rotate them. That might work over sort of quite a high direct heat. Maybe. Yeah,
I've just tried like oven chips and stuff in like a foil tray.
Yeah.
And you just end up getting really burnt. Well, not burnt, but like bottoms are really crispy and then the tops are just a bit soft.
I think you need to keep turning, don't you?
Yeah. Keep them moving a bit more, I think.
Maybe more of an indirect heat rather than so the they're not burning, but I don't know. We've not tried. We'll
I
try.
was going to say, yeah.
Like when you spin that wheel, you're going to land on chips on purpose, aren't you?
Do you know what? I haven't put chips on there, but I might do now.
Change it so we can experiment.
Just on chips. So after my own barbecue fail, which I may as well talk about now, I've slowly been perfecting roasties and also chips, depending on if you count them as chips, on the barbecue. So what I did originally was kind of parboiled potatoes and everything. This is when I was doing roasties, but then I tried to smoke them with applewood, and that didn't work.
Too smoky?
Not just that, they probably because applewood tasted quite a lot like apple, and they are a similar family as well.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. But so what I found is upping the temperature, not using woods, you can kind of do it in a very similar way as you would in the oven. If you can hold the temperature at like 200 and just put them in after parboiling the chips slightly, if you cut them into chip shape with a tiny bit of oil in a pan and just shake them every 10 or 15 minutes, they come out quite good after about 40. But then they're basically just different shaped roast potatoes. So it depends if you count those as chips or not. But that works quite well. Give that a go in.
Yeah, that does sound nice.
Yeah, I will do. So part of your barbecue journey, then you've become brand ambassadors over the last year or so, or
I'm not sure
couple of years.
Yeah, we've been so lucky to have the, like, I don't know, what's it called, an ambassadorship?
Yeah, to have been asked to sort of represent companies, I guess.
Yeah, we've been really lucky.
Who did it start with? Glow Baltic?
Glow Baltic, yeah.
So yeah, the charcoal company, Glow Baltic, they approached us early on in the lockdown, wasn't it? I think they were sort of just coming over to the UK, and they were looking around for sort of a few people to sort of get their charcoal out there. Yeah, we used that, didn't we? And we were really impressed with it, actually. Like, it's such a... Have you either of you ever used it, or have you not yet? You have.
Yeah.
Such a big... Their original charcoal was such big chunks, like consistently big as well. There was very little dust at the bottom of the bags. It lit easily. It sort of burnt for a long time at a high temperature. So yeah, we used it and we loved it. We were really pleased to sort of represent them and sort of use their charcoal. So that was the first one.
Yeah.
And who was it? Kamado Joe?
No, then Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy, the food.
Yeah.
We're really lucky. Like we did say, like, we are so fortunate. Like, we've got our charcoal covered. We've got Ford and Sons sort of supplying us meat. And he's been so good to us so far. Like, for the last year, anything we've wanted, we just ask him and he would sort of send it to us. And then, what was it? It was Kamado Joe, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kamado Joe.
Yeah, Ben Forte from Kamado Joe messaged us asking if he was the worst, Ben. He messaged us, and I'm literally like, I was Mr. I love Kamado Joe, like, before everything. He messaged us saying, "Hi guys, could I just chat to you about potentially being on the fire squad?" And that was it. And we messaged back.
Neil lost his...
I was running around the house like England had just scored in the final or something.
For about 6 weeks.
And then we messaged back and said, "Oh yeah, that would be great. Like, when do you want to talk?" And we just heard nothing for a week. We were like, "Oh, maybe he's changed his mind. Maybe he sent it to the wrong people." So he really kept us hanging. Like, he was...
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just him being useless or whether he did it on purpose. But after a week, we messaged him saying, "Right, Ben, do you still want to talk?" And we didn't hear anything for about a day and a half, and we were like waiting, weren't we, for the whole time. But yeah, so they asked us to be on the fire squad, which was really good. Like, we've done a few sort of themed cooks with them on, like, Oktoberfest and a couple of other ones, and we've done sort of
we did like a cook along with some of the other fire squad where we
that was the beef ribs,
we did the beef ribs, and before then we'd always done them low and slow, but then it was with Eric Geffer, and he did them hot and fast.
Yeah, that was Kamado Joe. And then after you bought your Traeger, you tagged them in a couple of things, and they must have seen you using it, and they liked sort of like you say, the family aspect. I think they earlier on this year, they sort of their whole theme went towards sort of getting the whole family involved and doing that. So I think that's maybe what they liked about our page then, that we sort of get the kids doing it and things. So they asked us to be part of the sort of UK team, which was nice.
Yeah, I remember that campaign, because it wasn't, the whole thing is anyone can use a Traeger, and they had like little children setting it up, so turn it on and using temperatures.
Sort of was he 5 at the time?
I think so.
Our son Ollie was 5, and he did a whole he preps all the
all the ribs. Yeah, he was like
he
getting
set
all
the
the
barbecue up
membrane
and,
off,
yeah.
everything
So
all
he-
himself.
I asked him to do a little video, which he absolutely loved doing. I think because he
Yeah.
sees us do one every now and again, like he thought, oh, I'm part of it now. So yeah,
Yeah.
he thinks he's the youngest Traeger ambassador in the UK, doesn't he?
When it's not, it's got to be Gary and Joanne's little baby.
Yeah.
So
So
cute.
yeah, we've been really lucky. Like we've got sort of both of the barbecues that we've got, we've sort of help represent and sort
Yeah.
of get their name out there. And we've also got our fuel supplied and sort of meat. So at the moment, we're sort of just very fortunate, aren't we? We don't think it will probably last forever, but at the moment, we're sort of really lucky and appreciate it and just sort of try and cook as often as we can to sort of make the most of it, really.
Yeah.
And what would you say is next for you two in your barbecue journey?
Up in the sides.
Yeah.
First
Up
of
in
all.
the sides.
The next, I think, is getting out and meeting people, hopefully.
Mm.
Sort of all the people we've been chatting to through Instagram and sort of through the barbecue community, like getting out there and
Yeah, there's so many people
actually meeting them.
that it would be really nice to meet.
Yeah, so we actually met Ben Forte from Kamado Joe for the first time a
Like
couple
2
of months
weeks
ago. Or was it
A couple of weeks
about a
ago.
month ago or so? He was doing an event at Alton's Barbecue World and sort of it was a Kamado Joe sort of day. And he actually came all the way down from, he lives miles away, doesn't he? So it was actually nice to meet him after he'd asked us to be on the team and everything. So it's good to sort of meet face to face and
Yeah.
watch him cook. He's impressive watching him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it really. Sort of getting out, meeting people.
I don't think we'll ever be into sort of competition barbecuing and stuff like that, but I think we'd like to, when things start to open up a bit, go round and sort of see some of the competition cooks and stuff. And I think
Go to the shows.
like some of the shows and stuff, because I think for us, because we do enjoy spending time with the boys and stuff at the weekend, we wouldn't want to go to shows and stuff without them. So we wouldn't be
That's
able
not fair, is it,
to,
really, at the moment?
we wouldn't be able to kind of join in with the competition aspect of it. But we would like to go and see that and like try other people's. We would love to do like a road trip around America and go to a load of good barbecue things. No, that's what.
No, I would, but yeah.
We've been married for 8 years and we haven't been on honeymoon yet. So we said for our 10th anniversary, well, Neil's supposed to plan something.
Yeah, but things change.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this big 10-year honeymoon thing, but then we went and
Had kids.
yeah, that. Yeah.
I think it sounds like you're going to take Ben to America. That's what you're going to do, go around on the
Maybe.
tour.
I'll get have the kids
now
and
you're
go on
talking.
honeymoon with Ben.
Someone else who into it like me, yeah. No, but we've actually, because we can't go anywhere, and we've actually bought a camper van. So the next thing as well is travelling around sort of the UK with our little tiny barbecue or travel versions of barbecues and sort of
Yeah.
going away with the family, cooking,
Yeah.
still cooking while the kids are at play.
That was a prerequisite. So I've wanted a camper van for years and years and years.
And I haven't.
And Neil's not really into camping. Neil's more of a hotel and pool kind of person, whereas I have always grown up camping. So he would refuse to stay in a tent. So I managed to persuade him to get a camper van on the condition that at some point we get a Joe Junior, a Kamado Joe, the small one, the travel one. Although I'm saying it's a travel one, they're still quite heavy, aren't they?
Yeah.
I try, yeah, but still, we're
they're
gonna get one of them, and that's how I persuaded Neil to actually get the camper van and
Then
come
I'm happy
travelling.
to sit out in the field and do something like.
Yeah, he was like, it's just boring sitting there all day unless you've got some ribs or something to sort of tinker with. And I was like, okay, we'll get a barbecue. And he was like, okay, sold.
So I'm on board.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not a tent person. I'm a hotel. It's all about luxury.
No.
Why don't we park a camper van in a hotel car park? I'll stay in the hotel and you can stay in the van. Win-win.
Definitely.
No, be at one with nature. Get outside, feel the grass on your feet. Walk 10 minutes to have a wash. That's the only way. Do your own washing up. It's the dream.
My brother-in-law has a camper van, and I always think it would be amazing to get like a Joe Junior and drive up to Scotland, go
Yeah.
by a loch and just set up
That is
by a loch.
exactly it.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's it. So we've left it too
And-
late this year. I booked for like a whole week and a half off work, and then we're trying to book some campsites on some
Can't
nice
find
scenic
any.
place, but they're all taken. So we'll have to do that next year.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to
Laybys. Just laybys up in Scotland, you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to head up to the Smoke and Fire Festival?
I think we are.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's it. It was Malden the year before last, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, which was really close to us, but actually it's Colchester, I think, this year.
That's right.
So we would love to go there. I think have we got tickets, or we're about to get some?
We're going to get some tickets. Yeah. Some of our really good friends live in Colchester, so we're going with them.
They're into barbecuing as well, aren't they?
Yeah,
So we'll be going with them and sort of looking around, trying to sort of taste all the food. Meet some more people. Are you sort of going to try and get there?
Yeah, so the Smoke and Fire Festival are our partners for this season.
Oh.
And so we're going to be there all weekend, plodding about and meeting people, trying some food.
Oh, that's going to be so fun.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to try and meet up then. Have a drink.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. It's so exciting to be able to get to do this after such a long time, right?
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to seeing other people cooking on a barbecue. It's been that long from being able to go out and just see people and look at different techniques and how people are doing things differently. So to have all of those different people set up, I cannot wait. Just walk around and watch that and taste everything. It's going to be fantastic.
What we always find really fascinating is like the big American style smokers. And I remember one of the things
on the trailer.
On the trailers, I remember last time they had things like when it was in Malden, they had like a car that they'd turned into a smoker and stuff, didn't they?
I don't remember that.
Do you not?
No.
It was literally like they turned some like really weird and wonderful things into smokers. It was really like interesting, fascinating to kind of go around.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that smoke fire. That's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Talking about those American trailer ones, they're like what our caravans are like. They are so big, aren't they?
Yeah.
They can fit like
the big shiny silver Airbus ones. They're cool.
They're impressive.
So with
it's a whole nother level.
Fire, are you going to the opening night? You're going to be there the whole weekend?
Whole weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, are you camping?
If I am, it's going to be in Owen's garden. It's going to be in Owen's garden because Owen's house is like, what, 10-15 minute walk?
Oh, really close.
Yeah. Originally we wanted to go for like the whole weekend and we wanted to camp and things, and then we kind of thought, actually no, we're going to have the kids with us, so I think we're just going to go for the day now, aren't we?
If you say so, I was hoping we'd go longer.
Well, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll play it by ear.
I think it might be quite like boozy and noisy having the kids camping. What, on their own?
Be old enough.
We've taught them how to cook, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hey, you know that they can turn on a Traeger and how to prep everything. They will literally be fine.
They'll be fine.
Right, so we come to the part of the show called BBQ Bingo. We'd love you just to do a challenge for us. So every week we'll spin a wheel, which I'm about to pull up on the screen now. It's got lots of ingredients, and whatever it lands on, it's really high tech.
Chips.
Yeah, unfortunately there's no chips, although I must add them on. One of the things we've put on here is my signature dish. So what would if that lands on my signature dish, what would that be for you guys?
You can choose that one.
It would probably be some kind of crab or mussels.
I like that. Something very different that we haven't had anyone do before. So definitely.
Yeah.
Carrots.
Great. Yeah.
Carrots. You haven't put cauliflower on there.
We haven't. No.
No.
We haven't, and Owen's not going to, is what that noise was.
No, we haven't.
To be fair, I've kind of every time we've been updating it week on week, it takes me longer and longer to think of some ingredients, because we try and think of some things that are quite easy, some things that are quite accessible, and trying to think of some things that might people.
You know what? One thing we've never done. Looking at that, we've not done pork neck. And we've not done lasagna on the barbecue. I've made lasagna before with leftover brisket. So that's been really, it was smoked. It was really, really nice actually, that lasagna, if I do say so myself. But we didn't cook it on the barbecue, did we?
No. Oh, no. Spin that wheel.
The pork neck, just before I spin the wheel.
Yeah.
I had a lovely piece of pork neck from Ford and Sons.
Yeah.
And I cooked it on the rotisserie for about an hour and 20 minutes. And it was so tender. It's really, really good.
Do you like roll it like you would?
No, it came like a piece of pork belly, just a sort of, rectangular piece of meat. And I literally just stuck rotisserie through it. And yeah.
Oh,
does it have skin and stuff on it? Or is it Did you get crackling?
No,
No.
it had like, you know, like a tiny bit of fat, but not.
When you're going like this, I imagine a pork neck is like, do pigs have long necks?
I think going across, across the back.
No. Oh, so it's that piece that way.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was that piece. I was like, that's gonna be really
Pork windpipe.
Yeah.
I think the Americans call it the money muscle, like in competition barbecue. Yeah. I think. I'm not 100% sure though, but anyway. Right, let's spin the wheel and see what you get.
We're going to get pork neck now, aren't we?
It just stops it wherever he wants it.
Bacon. Do you know what I've always wanted to do is like candied bacon.
Yeah.
When you make it like I can't remember, like it goes that hard.
Yeah.
Or like full on sugar and caramelized so much that when you take it off, it goes
bacon
rock hard.
Jam.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bacon jam. We could do bacon.
Oh, that'd be good.
Has it got to be all bacon?
No, you can use it in a meal.
Just a ingredient.
Use it as an ingredient in something. But I reckon that candied bacon with like big fluffy pancakes. Oh my god, you could make your own bacon. That would be good.
We could make some bacon.
When do you need this cooked by? We could rear our own
about an hour. About an hour's time.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've found out lots about you and your journey. Is there anything that perhaps we haven't talked about on the podcast in this episode, or any other episode that you would actually like to talk about, whether it's barbecue or not?
It's your time to talk to barbecue fans about anything you want. Your choice.
Do you have any fans?
No.
I think you've got lots of fans.
I can't really think of anything not mentioned. Just if you don't do it, try it. It's so much fun.
That's what I always think.
It makes cooking so much more fun. It's easier to clean up when everything's done outside. We like doing it because the kids can be out there playing. We can still keep an eye on them while we're sort of cooking. That's all I can think of, really. Like anything you can cook inside, you can cook outside on the barbecue, providing you've got a lid, and it just tastes better.
It does.
Definitely.
It really does.
Yeah. No, can you think of anything else you haven't mentioned?
No.
First time I've ever heard her go quiet.
So do you want to give yourselves a final plug? Tell people where they can find you, your cooks and your accounts and things.
So you can find us at Hitchens Kitchen and Grill, where you'll see a real mixture of sort of family food, grilled food, travel in our camper van, and a bit of baking disaster.
And that's on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Great stuff. That's it. I think.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us on.
It's been great to have you guys because I love everything that you do on the account. You can tell that it's real, if that makes sense, and that you are actually cooking to eat rather than just to photograph.
That's one of my things. That we've actually been offered a few like paid opportunities for things, and we quite often, well, actually always really turn down the paid stuff because they'll say, we'll offer you this much money and we want you to do this, but we want you to do this, we want you to do that, we want you to do this. And we're always like, no, what we do is we cook dinner for our family and then we snap a picture. We don't have time to cook for Instagram. Like we don't cook to take photos, like we cook it, that's what we eat. And often we're in such a rush to take the pictures because the boys are like trying to get at the food. And I think it would kind of detract. Partly I want to improve our photography so that our photos are better, but actually at the same time, so many people have actually said to me, I like the fact that your photos are actually a bit now because if you cook something that I've made, yours will look like mine. You know, or better. Or better. Yeah, yours will look better. But I think, I think sometimes you see something and you think, wow, that looks amazing, and then you make it and you're like, that doesn't look like what theirs looked like. So yeah, you'll never see any like scattered leaves around the side or scattered pine nuts because we haven't got time, have we?
It's more to clear up.
That's what I think. Why do people do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, scatter a bit of flour up and then have to clear it up. Why would you make more clearing up for yourself? I just don't understand.
They might have knocked something over, to be fair.
Yeah. Oh, that looks nice and arty. No, I do think what you see is what you get. Like,
And that's the way it should be.
We haven't
definitely
got
the way it
time
should
for
be.
food styling.
Yeah.
Although perhaps I think we'd probably do better if we did food styling, but
No, I disagree.
really
Like,
us.
no, the thing about your page is it's so authentic in like a great way. I mean, we've had this conversation before. I don't
What
use
you mean
filters
is
on anything
your
I do.
photos are naff, is what you mean.
I think there's enough people following you to suggest that definitely isn't the case, to be fair. But you can look at certain accounts and just think that looks fantastic, but it also doesn't look real. Whereas everything you've done, you can tell
Yeah.
is to be eaten.
But I think, do you know what? I do still love looking at those kind of accounts because some people...
Inspiring as anything, really
it
inspiring.
is, and it really, like, some of the people who we follow, like Only Slagging, for example, his photos, his videos, they must take him hours. For like a 30-second video, it must take him and Rom like a good few hours to film it, to edit it, and they're literally things of beauty, aren't they? They're like, he's got like over 1 million followers on TikTok because he's so good at his videos. Yeah, so I think there is a place on Instagram, and there's space for both. There's people who kind of, this is what you can aspire to do, and look how great my food is. And I don't mean that in a horrible way, like, oh, look how good it is, but who genuinely take such passion in presenting, and they really enjoy their photography skills and stuff. But we don't have any photography skills, so we just don't.
Point and shoot.
Yeah. Well,
before it's cold.
My camera's like, my phone is a bit, that's what we take our photos on.
Tape together phone.
Yeah, my phone is held together by sellotape.
Oh, thank you very much, guys, for coming on.
Yeah, it's been great speaking to you as well.
You too.
Yeah, well, we will actually look you up. We'll come and find you. That sounds sinister. We will come and find you. And there's smoke fire. I'm talking about smoke fire. Yeah, I'm not going to come to your house.
We'll have big labels on our top, so it'll be easy to find. Don't you worry.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
No problems. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
That's it for another episode of the Meet and Greet Barbecue podcast. It was great to chat with Kate and Neil about their barbecue journey and how they make it a real family affair and get their children involved cooking on their Kamado and Traeger. You can find their Instagram profile on Hitchens Kitchen and Grill on Instagram. Likewise, you can find us at Meet and Greet Barbecue Podcast on all social media channels at Meet and Greet Barbecue Podcast. Make sure you follow the hashtag Meet and Greet Barbecue Podcast and BBQ Bingo. I want to reach out to all of our listeners again. If there's anything that you would like to hear on the podcast, anything about barbecue that we're not talking about, please let us know. And we'd be more than happy to have an open discussion about anything barbecue related. So please do get in touch either through our social media channels, through our website, via email. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can hear more great content that we put out. Until next week, keep on grilling.